Alright, so this is video reflection for 20 something of May. I'm sorry. It's been quite a while since I filmed one of these. Actually, it's been like 4 days. So yeah, it's hard to start with consistency, right? Because I've been idle for such a long time. Okay, so where to begin? Firstly, I want to introduce a new change to video reflections. So it's not just going to be me talking about what happened today, although that is meaningful enough, and it does keep record for future me. I'm thinking of sharing some thoughts based on the experiences that I got from the day. And since I haven't filmed during the weekend, I'm also going to talk about events that happened in the weekend. So let's start. Firstly, I only think you gain experience when you reflect on it, when you reflect on the events. So what that means is, I think experience is something that stacks up, right? So you have to build it up from the ground up. So when you look back later, you say, oh, I have built up this much experience. I am an experienced individual in life, right? But I think you can only build experience from events when you reflect on it. It's actually quite simple when you really think about it. It's just like how you can only improve at solving math problems when you go back and check which ones you got wrong. Because unless you do that, you're not going to improve, right? Because you don't know where to improve. Similarly, even if you've done an action or spent a day or encountered an event, unless you reflect back on it and, well, Jesus. Unless you reflect back on it and check what you did well and what you could improve on, you're not going to improve. If that step is too tedious and time-consuming and painful that you just run away from it, you're just going to repeat what you did. You're not going to be satisfied with the results, I can guarantee that. So I think you can only call your life or a time period in your life as experience when you've reflected on what's happened during that time period. Hence, this is why I'm filming the videos, right? Secondly, second thought I want to share is about being an individual, an independent individual. So what does an individual mean? Well, in environmental science, it's an organism, it's one organism, part of a species, right? That exists isolated. The organism itself exists isolated, but I think a lot of people, and this is just because we're humans and we have the mental capability and thought process to think, right? But I think we tend to compare ourselves a bit too much. Really, the ultimate question everybody wants to get an answer to is, how do I become happy? And I think really the question's answer is quite simple and it's straightforward. You stop comparing yourself to other people, and yes, that's it, basically. That will make, I think, at least 80% of people who have that question happy once you do that. Because most of your unhappiness arises from a lack of something. Let's say a lack of money, or a lack of love, or a lack of whatever. By the way, I am talking about the developed world. I know that in developing countries there are a lack of a lot more necessities like food, water, shelter, and etc. But for those in developed countries, because even though we have bountiful amounts of food, water, and shelter, we're not happy. We consider ourselves unhappy. We consider ourselves depressed. Why? Because we compare ourselves to other people. That's the only reason you would be unhappy, even though you have met all those minimum requirements of life. You're only unhappy even though you have a home, even though you have children, and you have enough to eat. You're only unhappy because you compare yourself to your coworker who gets more, what do you call, more income than you. You're unhappy because he has a more, quote, beautiful wife. Why would you do that to yourself? Because it's dumb, right? It's like, you know that internet trend back in 2017-18 where there was like this roast internet trend where basically random people would send YouTubers a picture of themselves and a comment saying, roast me. Why would you do that? If you're looking for improvement in your life and you want a source, or if you want fuel, then sure, try it out. But if your goal is to be happy and to live content and satisfied, why would you mandate yourself and victimize yourself to such pain? Why compare yourself, right? And then some people would say, well, if you know deep down that you're worse than the other person, even if you don't compare yourself, you're not going to be happy. Oh, really? Because I don't think so. I think that step itself is already comparing yourself to someone else, and you're judging that you're a lesser human being. When in reality, there's nothing wrong, right? It's just different. We're all individuals. We all live in a society, and we're all different. Society doesn't mandate the rules, you do. If you find meaning in something, then sure, go for it. Just because other people don't want or don't acknowledge that meaning doesn't mean that you have to do so as well. You find your own life meaning. Now, I said that very easily, but I know it's a very hard thing to do. Most people tend to just strive to live for the meaning that other people have set in stone, like money, a beautiful wife, a cool house, right? But the really funny thing is, unless that's really what you hold dear, so unless that's the real meaning of your life, then even if you've reached that money, that social status, that house, you're not going to be happy because you're going to realize that's not what you really wanted, right? So I think you should, if you're contemplating why am I so unhappy, you should reflect on what makes you happy, right? What do you do that makes you feel meaningful? Is it making money? Really? Because I don't think so. I'm pretty sure you only feel happiness, quote happiness from making money because you feel safer. You feel less insecure because society loves to make you feel insecure about having less money. You know, you could live in 1,000 other places with just $100. $100 is an immaculate amount of money to some people in the world. It's just too much. But to you, it's like, it's not even a month's rent, right? Okay, so what I want to say is, I want you to think about what makes you happy. And in other words, that is what meaning you have, right, in your life. Is making money your meaning? Is making family your meaning? That could be a life meaning for a lot of people. But at the end of the day, what I want to say is you decide your own meaning. Nobody gets to boss you around. All those advertisements that try to make you feel insecure, like deodorant ads, don't listen to them. Don't compare yourself to others. The only time, I would say, the only two instances where comparison is indefinitely needed is one, you're insecure and you compare yourself to, quote, in your mind, lesser people to make you feel more secure about yourself. Let's say you're 5'11" or 5'8", which is, I don't know if that's short. In Korea, that's like the average height. But let's say you're a male, 25 years of age, and you're 5'8", and you're insecure about that. The only time you should compare yourself in height to other people to make you feel secure is comparing yourself to people who are 5'4" or 5'3". You don't have to go out of your way to compare yourself to people who are 6 feet tall, 6.11 feet tall. You don't have to do that. That's dumb. Because it makes you feel more insecure. It lowers your self-esteem and you feel like shit, right? Why would you do that? The second case is when you have to suit or adjust the requirements of others. Now, it goes like this. Normally, you wouldn't really care about what other people think, right? You would have your own life meaning, and as long as that was firm, you wouldn't have to care about the meaning or the life meaning or the life values of other people, because you're not trying to impress someone. You're not trying to compare yourself. The only time you should do that is when you want someone's, how would you say, gratification. For instance, let's say you have a crush, you have someone you like, and you don't hold money to be dear or an important value, but they do. Well, then in that case, you better make that value an important part of your own life, or persuade the other person, not likely, or just ditch them entirely, which is probably the wise thing to do, right? You would only need to change or try to shift your life meaning or your mode of life when you're trying to get gratification from someone, right? Unless that's what you're trying to do. If you're just trying to be happy on your own, then you don't have to do any of those. You don't have to subject yourself to pain. You're only going to compare yourself to the person that you were in the past. And even that, don't do that if that's not to your benefit, right? Living life is hard. The fact that you've lived this far makes you a great person. You don't have to compare yourself to the you in the past or to others in the present or to others in the past. You don't have to do that. Right? Oh, is it my best? I don't care if it's your best. I don't know why people keep using the best. There is no best. Right? It's subjective to everybody. And you're never going to be your best. You know why? Because the only time you're going to judge your best is in the future when you're looking back on the event, right? And do you ever think you're gonna say, "Oh, I tried my best," when you're looking in from the future? No. You're gonna say, "Oh, I could have done better," or "Oh, I mean, that was pretty good, but I could have done better." That's just human nature. That doesn't change. What you're doing right now, however lazy it may seem, is your best. Always remember that. Would there be room for improvement? I don't know. You tell me. You judge yourself, not me. Anyway, those were some of the thoughts that I had during the weekend. It was actually a lot more happy for me during the weekend, but yeah, these thoughts just popped up, so I'm sharing them with you. Anyway, bye-bye. Have a nice day.